y'all, I'm Ellen. We've been super inspired by our journeys of self-healing and discovery.
And I'm Sam, and we want to share our experiences with you to help you get curious about yourself, reconnect, and get intentional about your life so you know what makes you happy.
Welcome to Woo New, the podcast. We're really excited today to be talking to Nguyen, who's a good friend of ours, and who we met on our journey in building daughters, because she is the creator behind UnitedOther, and she creates these really amazing handcrafted or hand rolled incense, and so we carry her cosmically rolled incense in our store. And so that's kind of how we got to know Ellen. But she also happens to be this super rad evolutionary astrologer whom both Sam and I have taken a workshop with and also have seen privately for one-on-one readings.
I love Ellen so much because her story is so much like ours.
Yeah.
And her energy is just so magical. She just is so smart, and she's so driven, and she's, on this soul journey to evolve, and nothing is going to stop her.
Yeah, she's like a huge inspiration. I feel like she's like, her timeline of leaving her corporate job is, I think, a year before we did or something, like not that long before we did. And she was also caught up in the same shit, just like burnout and the whole thing. Like, I mean, you've heard our stories so many times now, I think, but it's really, really inspiring to see how she's evolved and how she's kind of like gone along her journey to start UnitedOther
and Sacra rituals coming up.
Yeah.
And how she does it alone. I keep thinking about that all the time. I'm just like, how she's a one-woman band and she is doing all of this alone. Like, that is so much work.
I know. I know. And it's funny, like, we are literally about to interview somebody about human design. And the same person is a good friend of Ellen's and told us that she's a manifester. And so I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense. She's like really good at just like powering through and just making shit happen, Like,
I think Ellen is a manifester.
Yeah. Ellen's a manifester.
Oh my God.
Doesn't that make sense?
Girl. Oh, I that's so funny. She's never mentioned that. Makes so much sense. Yeah, because Ellen gets a message and then it just like happens.
I know. Those people are very, very rare, but like so powerful. And yeah, I feel grateful that we've like crossed paths with her and that she's been part of our journey as much as we have been with hers too. And just really seeing her start out doing these workshops and intention ritual events and things like that too. It's super rad.
Yeah. And her workshops were so fun, getting to sit down and go through the natal chart and sort of understand it from a high level. And then following up with her and having a private reading was so informative.
Yeah. It's a whole new way to look at yourself, I guess, and your life. And it's like a whole new set of tools that it's been really interesting to see what natal chart, like what came through that and put it up against like an Akashic Records reading and put that up against a tarot reading. And, it all starts coming together. And it's not that they all repeat each other, but there's elements that are through lines that do tie them all together in really interesting ways.
Yeah, I found it incredibly helpful, but also I feel like Ellen just has a really special way of communicating what she's interpreting in the chart. And why certain things might be happening based on your chart from past lives or based on new things that, your soul is meant to accomplish in this lifetime. And everything just became very clear. Like all of a sudden there was a path. And I mean, I'd be lying. Fuck me. I have no idea. It's like, I don't know exactly where that path is going. That's totally true. Or when. But like, you start to understand why things that fell out of place may not have necessarily been out of place and how contextually they are a key piece to a much bigger picture.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Once you start dabbling or delving into a past life thing with me. I was like, oh, it all makes sense now.
Yeah, she did the exact same thing with me. I mean, and she picked up on like okay, in a past life you had a really strong spiritual partnership or mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
and you were really on that path with someone else, and I have had an Akashic reading, where and multiple actually healers that and practitioners that I've worked with have mentioned this to me before, but they have all mentioned something very similar to that. Um, Being my grandmother on my mother's side,
Mm-hmm.
in various contexts. And I'm like, okay, I understand now why this keeps coming up, and like why now I'm sort of like on this mission to like charge on solo, if you will. Like, you and I are on this road with daughters, but I'm also in sort of, I just grew up in the environment where I wanted to develop my spirituality, and it was sort of like a path untaken in my family in this
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Like you don't have anybody in your corner, like really kind of cheering you on or kind of showing you how, right?
Yeah, and to sort of understand the larger context for that, I was like, holy moly, this is crazy.
I know, I know. It's been rad to like, yeah, like bring it all, like bring all the pieces together and see a more complete picture.
I love it. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough.
So we're really grateful to be sitting here today with Ellen Nguyen, who we first met as the creator of UnitedOther. And she makes these amazing handcrafted, handmade or hand rolled incense rope that are just dyed these beautiful colors. And we actually have some of those in our store. And she also makes these intention papers that I personally have been using every single full moon and new moon for my like moon rituals. And so we're really grateful to have met Ellen through this whole journey we've had with daughters. But she's also this amazing evolutionary astrologer. And both Sam and I have had readings with Ellen, and we've even taken a workshop with her to understand what a natal chart reading actually is. So, welcome, Ellen. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you so much, you guys. I'm so glad and honored to be a part of the podcast.
Yay! I'm glad we finally made it happen.
I know. It's divine timing.
Yes, I love it.
I think it'd just be helpful to just unpack and understand better what exactly is a natal chart reading, especially for somebody who's never heard of that before. Because I think we've all like kind of dabbled in like weekly horoscopes and things like that, and they're kind of fun and light and whatever. But I don't think I really understood until that first workshop with you exactly what natal chart reading entails.
Yeah, I'm definitely more than happy to share some wisdom. For me, natal chart, like in the beginning, I was really into astrology. I was into the only really astrology I was into was like horoscopes. And that's kind of like the foundation. I'm an Aries sun, so I just only understood myself as this characteristic, but I was also very intuitive and very like sensitive and very emotional. So I think that I was curious about astrology because I knew that it was definitely more dynamic and deeper, and it wasn't just one aspect of who I was. And so when I started getting into astrology, and in particular natal astrology, and first began sort of like printing my chart and seeing it, I was really kind of blown away. And so I have a fancy name for it. I call it a star chart, and that's something I just have coined in terms of like what I call a natal chart. But it's basically a snapshot of where all the planets are the moment you're born. So location, date, and time. And so this kind of becomes your cosmic DNA, right? So Ellen and Sam, even if we're like born at the same time and date, if you were born in New York and I was born in LA, our charts would totally be different. And so the chart is, and for me, it's super unique, and it captures, like I mentioned, where all the planets were the moment you were born. So the chart tells kind of a narrative and a story of all these cosmic energies that are going on. And so a natal chart reading for me, and how I approach it is sort of unlocking clues or building a narrative or story of your soul's potential or soul's lesson plan. And so it's kind of like a cosmic puzzle that's like unique to you, or it's like a cosmic map that's unique to you. So that's kind of how I would distinguish like horoscopes, and a natal chart. Like horoscopes are just basically, it's like the news. It's like the cosmic news. Like it's what's going on in the cosmic sky today or this week or this month. What's the energy? But a natal chart is your cosmic DNA. It's your soul's map, in essence. And so it's very personal. And by uh, understanding it and understanding sort of the narrative or the story or the potential, in this sort of natal chart, really gives you sort of clues as to what you're supposed to be doing, and how you can make the most out of it, really.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Although I am going to back you up here for a second because I'm going to probably share something that's pretty embarrassing. But when I first started talking to people who were really into astrology, the first question that I would always get is, "Oh, what's your rising sign?" And I had no idea what they were talking about. I was like, "I don't know. I'm a Gemini. What does that mean?" So maybe we back up even farther, and can you like help explain the difference between your sun sign, your rising sign, and some of the key elements within a natal chart?
Yeah, so for sure, because oftentimes, I think that because astrology has become more acceptable, and it's sort of kind of entered sort of the collective consciousness now as a tool. I think the language around like talking about what's your moon, what's your rising, where's your Venus, and all that stuff, which I love because it just shows to me like that's astrology has now become a part of like, yeah, the collective conscious, and used as a tool. So it's really powerful. But yes, really great question. So your sun sign is basically, and mostly everyone knows this just because it's pretty common, I think, but it's just where the sun is in the year. So I'm born on April 2nd. So that's where the sun was. So within, there's a gap between the sun stays in a sign for a whole month. So between like uh, March 19th or 20th to April 19th, that's considered Aries. So the year is divided by 12 months, and so the sun stays in a sign for a month, and wherever you're born in that year, wherever the sun is, your sign. That's your sun sign.
Okay, so that's based on your birthday, and that's the one that pretty much everybody knows.
Yeah. So that's where the sun is in the year. Your rising sign is actually the sign that's on the eastern horizon the moment you're born. So it's actually the sign that's actually rising up at dawn. So that's why they call it, the ascendant or the rising. And that's the sign that you actually project out to the world. So it's equally important as the sun. So the sun is what we value. And when we live our values, we come to life. But actually, what we project out can be a totally different sign, and it could be a totally different sort of like personality. So I'm an Aries sun, but I'm a Scorpio rising. And so for the longest time, for me, I thought I was this sort of like outgoing, kind of like sort of free spirited person, and that's sort of the things that I value. But I was coming off as like mysterious and kind of deep, and like I wore all black at one point. I was into like that kind of stuff. And so like, so there was a contrast in terms of like what I thought I was and what I was projecting out. And Scorpio rising, like Scorpios in general, like they like to get real, they like to get raw.
Oh
They
yeah,
have
I'm a
really,
Scorpio rising too.
yeah, they have
And
a
I
really
was like,
good.
I was like, people see me how? What is happening?
Yeah. Like Scorpio risings, they have a really good bullshit detector, so they can tell right away like the energy of the room, and like who like what people's sort of energies are. And so yeah, so that's the difference between a sun sign and a rising sign. So it's actually who you think you are, is your sun, but actually how you project yourself and how others see you, that's actually your rising. Yeah, so that's kind of the idea. And then obviously, um, all these planets are constantly moving in the sky. And so when we take this snapshot, it just shows where the planets are. So your moon could be in a different sign, or your Venus, or your Mars, or your Jupiter. So all these planets kind of just, they're sort of visiting these houses.
What I guess maybe my question is, okay, you've explained kind of like overview of what like the natal chart it is literally your blueprint,
Yes.
right? Like your spiritual kind of or cosmic blueprint. What can somebody gain from understanding and looking into their natal chart?
Okay, this is a
Good
beautiful
question.
question, and I love this, and that's why I use astrology as a spiritual tool to give me clues. And so, for me personally, once I understood and saw and started decoding my soul's lesson plan or my cosmic DNA, it just gave me clarity, right? I feel like there are parts of us and things in us that in terms of we know who we are, I think, and what it is that we want and how we want to live. But I think that because of society or family or culture, or just like these sort of conditionings that happen, growing up, that we start to believe that we're supposed to be a certain way. So when I look at a natal chart, in particular when I was looking at my natal chart, I saw that there were these aspects that were really unique to me, and that I've always felt and kind of knew, but I sort of resisted or denied or wasn't really fully conscious of. And so for me, like the natal chart allowed me to then um, basically honor myself and honor the characteristics that I have, and sort of lean into. I always like when I work with clients, I tell them, so it's like working with and not against sort of the things that you're naturally drawn to, or that you are interested in, or that you're sort of destined to experience and learn. It helps me to then lean into it and work through some of that energy versus resisting it, or like totally creating a whole different experience, or denying myself in some way.
It's like it allows you to kind of face the truth about yourself, right? And that's actually a really good point, because I think, after taking your workshop and then sitting down with you for a reading, that is almost kind of like the way you it's like the words that you use and the way you explain the chart actually helped me to face certain things that I kind of maybe like subconsciously realized, or it was in the background. But when you said it out loud and it's in the chart and it's kind of facing you, I was finally able to, it's almost like accept it or acknowledge it,
Yeah.
like these
Yeah,
propensities.
yeah. I think like I just love the word honoring, because I feel like it's sort of, we're given this opportunity and this gift, and I can share a little bit more about like my practice of evolutionary astrology too. So which can then give you a little bit more context of why there is for me like so much meaning and it being a spiritual tool. And so evolutionary astrology is definitely like a more modern approach. It uses astrology, natal astrology, but there's like a spiritual like foundation to it. So one of the core sort of belief with evolutionary astrology is the idea of like reincarnation, past life, and karma. Natal chart is your soul's lesson plan in this life, and which also means your soul's full potential to experience. So the idea is like anything that was unresolved in the past life, or any karma that was created either positive or negative, we kind of carry that with us in this life. And so this life becomes an opportunity for us to either sort of break karma, elevate karma, learn the lessons that we didn't quite learn in the previous life, and then heal any wounds that we were unable to heal. So it's almost like a do-over, or like a take two of from the previous life. And so again, anything that you don't learn in this life or you get resolved, you have to learn it again. So from that approach, like that's why I feel very empowered and very conscious and aware that like, okay, what is it that I need to learn? How do I break karma? How do I cut sort of like karmic loops with like relationships and people and habits? Karma is mainly just habits and patterns that you keep repeating, right? And so when you keep repeating it, you keep drawing the same energy. And that's all karma is habits and patterns, and how to sort of break them is sort of the intention with this life. And then also to elevate karma. So create positive karma for you in this life, but then continuing on to next life. So I grew up Buddhist, so reincarnation was never kind of like a question for me. I feel like probably this isn't our first time being connected and being friends, so the energy feels very easy. And so for those who maybe aren't familiar with that principle of karma or like past life or reincarnation, I think like it's just kind of keeping that openness, because there's just some energies and some people and some connections are just like instantaneous, really easy, and so there has to be sort of like a reason for that, I feel like. And that's probably because we've been connected with each other before, or that we're learning from each other in some way. And we've found each other again to kind of like support and grow together as a community and as a collective. And so yeah, so that's sort of the foundation. And with the natal chart and the evolutionary approach is that, okay, well, knowing that this is sort of an opportunity for me to learn and heal and grow and either sort of uh, break karma or evolve the karma, how can I then be empowered and lean into it and do my best to honor this journey and honor this life? And your natal chart can give you clues to that, which I think is so powerful. And I think just like in terms of like modalities, whether we believe that it's true or not, or the more logical approach to it, for me, it's like if a modality or an esoteric like teaching or practice helps you to heal or to grow or to be more loving, like I'm down, like I'm down to learn it. I'm down to like practice it and embrace it if it makes me softer and if it heals wounds that I have and it makes me more loving. Like sign me up, like teach me, because I'm all about it, and astrology has been one of that for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's no wrong way to incorporate it into your life. And even if you don't take it
Right.
that seriously, it can only help.
Yeah, it's again about the, I guess, with sort of like what we're interested in and sort of our own like community. It's energy is everything, right? And that's sort of, and I think I'm really happy to see that the collective is like more is understanding that energy is the foundation of everything. And so now, not understanding that, now we can like actually use it. We can actually be empowered to actually be deliberate about how we use energy, how we take it in, how we like radiate it out.
I also love the karmic piece to
Yeah,
this, like especially the connection to the past lives, because I feel like a lot of times in life we're kind of responding to symptoms,
yeah,
right? Like symptoms of deeper issues that are they kind of play out in our daily lives and just the drama, I guess, of daily life. But until you really dig in, it's almost like you are seeing the lessons that you need to learn in this lifetime that you may not have learned in a previous life. And when you see the actual lesson in front of you, it makes all the symptoms make sense too,
Yeah.
and you become so much more conscious about, oh shit, I need to learn. This is what I need to master in this life. This is why I have these triggers in some ways.
Yeah. I also felt like learning about my rising sign was
hmm
super helpful in a very similar sense in that there were all these things like, so as a Sagittarius rising or a Scorpio rising,
yeah.
sorry,
You're Scorpio
I always
rising.
get those two mixed up. No, but as a Scorpio rising, it was like I didn't realize why like so often I would walk into a room and not say anything and I would be thinking about something totally out of context and not even paying attention, and people would get these very like heavy like heavy reactions to me coming into a room sometimes, and they would tell me that. Like a bunch of my friends told me that after after we got closer, and they were like, oh my god, the first time you walked in and I saw that look on your face, and I was like, oh my god, I don't even remember what I was thinking about, but it was definitely not that setting. But
Yeah.
it helped me feel like less, so it made me like that kind of feedback, constantly getting that kind of feedback made me feel like I really had to like rein myself in and really had to like overly appease and like, essentially put on this sort of veil to make other people
Mm.
feel more comfortable without really understanding why I was making them uncomfortable. And then learning about my rising sign, I was like, okay, this is what I'm projecting to them. But even though it's not always what I ideally want to, it made me feel like it wasn't my fault in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't
Mm-hmm.
done something to like instigate it, which is kind of how I always felt in the past, but also help me create a new relationship to it so I can use those traits as tools moving forward in a more intentional way.
Yeah, you're just like a lot more conscious of it
Yeah.
now, and you kind of know why, yeah. It is empowering. That's exactly like, I think, Ellen, to your point, it really feels empowering when you know the rationale or like some of the reasons behind, yeah, how others respond to you, or why you seem to kind of go through some similar cycles in your life, and perhaps these are just harder lessons for you to learn for whatever reason. But the natal chart really, the reading, it for me too, it helped me to understand like bird's eye view of my entire soul's journey. Like this is what I need to master right now.
Yeah, it's and the thing too is like, because the natal chart is a wheel and it has like these 12, it's divided by 12 pieces, which are houses, and each house has an owner, which is a zodiac sign. And so it just shows me too that like we're so dynamic, right? Like we're not just one thing, that we're working through and expressing ourselves and experiencing life through many lenses in a weird way of like, or in a beautiful way, actually. It's like these different lenses that we're experiencing life through. And so it becomes very colorful. And then, but in understanding your natal chart, then you can kind of accept that, that you're seeing and experiencing life in your own unique way, and that's special, and that's unique, and that's like something that you can share with others, and figuring out like how can I integrate and how can I accept myself and sort of use, yeah, the like colorfulness or the vividness in being like true to myself.
How did you even get into this? Like, did you always have this fascination?
Yeah, you know what? So I'm Vietnamese, and my mom was always like into like fortune tellers and whatnot. And obviously we're Buddhist, but she, I guess, had told me, she had always like would mention, oh yeah, I got your fortune read, and and he said that in your later life you're gonna do X, Y, and Z, and I never quite like understood. And she said that it's recorded on some mysterious cassette, and I wish I don't know where
My
it
God,
is.
we have to find that.
I know I have to find it, but it's probably like gone because it's like from Vietnam or whatever. So I wish I had access to this cassette of this, because I believe he did like a natal chart reading for me. Yeah, so she had been into it, and she would always read sort of like the Lunar New Year forecast for like the different Chinese animal, or like the Chinese animals or whatever. And um, so I think I kind of got a little bit exposure. At least I was very open to all that stuff. And then yeah, I read my horoscopes, and it was a way for me to understand like the craziness that was going on in my life, or just like people like behaving a certain way. I'm like, what is this? Is this why it's happening? And so I think I used horoscopes as a way to sort of understand or give myself context as to like the energy that was just going around with people that I was experiencing, or just my work environment and relationship and all that stuff. But yeah, but it wasn't until I took a workshop where it was like a astrology and hypnosis workshop, and yeah, that I got my chart printed from that, and then it was working with the North and South node, which is, you know, our karmic past and our destiny. And that was the first time where um, I was really exposed to other things than planets. And I was like, what is this? The nodes of the moon, like, which is my karmic past and my destiny. Like, so that from that point, I just got super curious. And so I just, you know, read books and started Googling stuff and literally would like Google, like, you know, Gemini moon, what does that mean? And, or like would try to understand what that means and then make the connection of like how that was relevant to me. And then how I was either honoring it or denying it in myself. Yeah, so it was definitely a long journey, but that was, if I could pinpoint like a very sort of significant moment, was in that workshop where I saw different aspects in the chart or like elements in the chart that I've never heard about that really sort of inspired me to dig deeper and to like then study more more deeply what was in my chart. And from there, it really, it's like all these clues, you know, the more that you commit to it, you start to, you know, you have these little cosmic breadcrumbs and you kind of just follow it and you find out another aspect. And at that time I was working for a cosmetics company as a creative director and I was really unhappy. And I think I was like, I knew that I was a loving and kind person, but in an environment like that I couldn't be that. And so I felt like I was betraying myself often.
Oh
um
my gosh, I remember that feeling so much. I feel like I go to work and I have to be a person that I hate all day long. Like, it
Yes.
was the
yeah,
worst
Yes,
yeah,
feeling ever.
100%.
yeah, so it was really hard. And but I was being creative because I knew I was like a creative person. But then once I looked into my chart and I was like, oh, I have Pisces in the fifth house, which is like the house of creativity, but Pisces is a spiritual sign and it's a compassionate sign. And so I was like, oh, okay, it has to be creative, but it has to be spiritual. It has to be of a deeper meaning. And so when I saw and recognized and uncoded that, it gave me permission to then be like, okay, I have to follow my spiritual path and I have to use my creativity in a different way because it's 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 what I thought it was, but it's actually the chart showed me something else, something deeper. And so, so yeah, and that's kind of how. And to be honest with you, like I'm still learning from my chart. Like even though it's this thing that I've been staring at for like years, I've just been learning different techniques and different things pulling out. And it's a 4,000-year-old like ancient science. So there's so many ways to approach it and like learn from it and use it. And so I keep learning from it, even though it's the same chart I've been looking at for like years now.
Just out of curiosity, you mentioned that as a kid, your mom used to look at the Chinese New Year's and the animal signs.
Yeah.
What was it about natal charts specifically that you were drawn to over, some of these other astrology studies?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that I saw it as like I think that there, I mean, it was definitely something that was a puzzle. So, so for me, it was like figuring out the puzzle that kept me coming back to it. And again, you know, since I mean, I'm in the reincarnation school, I'm sure this is not my first time using astrology or like working with that modality. So maybe again, I always think of this life is always about picking up things that we potentially have learned or used in a past life. It's just picking it back up again. So there was something about it that I understood, and I was able to create stories with it. So that was one of the things that kept me coming back to it, was that there was an intuitive quality. There's definitely like a ton of technical stuff and interpretation, and like it's all about symbolism and then like combining symbolism with like planets and signs and how like, but there's an element of storytelling and yeah, the intuitive storytelling that happens with the chart, especially when I interpret. So it's, for me, that was the really sort of fascinating and kind of intriguing part. And it came somewhat natural for me, in terms of being able to like see what the story is. Yes, that's why I keep coming back to it. It's because of that. And it
Wow.
keeps on like, the layers keep on peeling for me, you know, or like you flip the page, it feels like for me in terms of my own chart.
I'm curious, like, how you feel like you've transformed as a human since really diving into the study and implementing it as a practice in your life?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. So for me, like in using it, it created a lot of reverence for me, like in understanding energy and honoring sort of the cosmic sky. And I think from like a bigger perspective, it helps me to see like there's a quote unquote like master plan, or there's a greater force, um, or even like a greater love that's happening, that's sort of weaving things together, right? For me at least, it's like that understanding of, because you kind of, if you were to work with astrology or believe that there's cosmic influences, or if there's a reason why you're here, then the bigger perspective is like honoring that sort of the universe, or that reverence for energy, and kind of like a divine order or plan. So that gave me, since working with a chart, it gives me a lot more appreciation of that I that this is all intentional. Like the things that I'm here to do is, I have free will, but it's up to me to kind of create something out of it. And so I keep saying honoring. Honoring is like a word that I really love. So
Mm.
for me, working with a chart, understanding myself is like honoring the universe, honoring this like greater plan, honoring myself. Um, but I think that, what I love about it is whatever I'm learning and whatever that I sort of gather as a tool or technique, that I'm able to then help others. I'm able to then give them insights, and I get to be, I can like be a messenger, a cosmic messenger in some way, to my community and to my collective. And that for me feels so good, because it feels like I'm able to like give back in a meaningful way, and I'm helping others to understand who they are and give them some clues. Whether they decide to take the clues and run with it, it's sort of up to them, and that's their gift in terms of free will. But it helps me to sort of feel like I'm contributing in some way, in a meaningful way, and being of loving service in some way. Um, so not only has it given me clarity on myself and what it is that I have to honor for myself in my journey, but I think it's just given me so much appreciation for being able to then give back, and to be of service in some way through the astrology.
Everything that you've done so far since diverting from your corporate career, like through the incense, through the intention papers, and even through, especially through, your dive into evolutionary astrology, I just feel like they are all tools to help us kind of connect to ourselves better. Every single thing is kind of connected to that that mission. I can't help but wonder if everybody just opened up their minds a little bit and just had the curiosity to kind of dive in, just get one single natal chart reading in their life, just to see what's
Yeah.
there, if it wouldn't, if we all wouldn't be able to connect to each other a little bit deeper and closer. It's to me, it's like another piece of something that could be taken into therapy, and really kind of like used to work through trauma and all sorts of stuff in a much deeper way with like, a cognitive behavioral therapist, or, that kind of thing too.
Yeah, no, I totally 100% agree. And I think that's part of evolutionary astrology, because it's like the spirituality aspect and the spiritual growth aspect of it. But, in my sessions, with my clients, and I always try to figure out like, how does this apply to your life, and how is it relevant, and how does it resonate now? And then, sometimes giving guidance and suggestions, or sort of ideas on how to lean into the astrology more. So for me, it's about, again, like about empowerment. But yes, there's I think that, I'm kind of optimistic that astrology, because of its popularity right now, or at least there's this like openness to it, that it will be used, for deeper work, because there's
Mm-hmm.
definitely, like within the chart, what I'm interested in terms of looking at is to like, I look at I call it the juicy stuff, which is like your shame and repression, and your like core spiritual wound, and your shadow side, like all these things are opportunities for transformation. It's definitely things that people don't want to kind of like, maybe acknowledge. But it's there in the chart,
Mhm.
and those are the kind of like the more hidden aspects. And those are the things like I go into right away, because I think it's important. I think it's like if we're here, let's do the work, and but yes, like I do believe that maybe I'm optimistic that it will be incorporated into kind of more quote mainstream like talk therapy stuff, um, because at least it's like a starting point. You know, it's a starting point,
Exactly.
yeah, to
Exactly.
have a conversation like, oh, it says that this is where your wound is, which is like maybe nervousness and anxiety around communication in relationship. Then maybe that's the talking point, or that's sort of like the conversation starter, instead of maybe just kind of going around and around and figuring out maybe what that could be, and kind of like going
Yeah.
directly into it, or maybe asking, is this it, and seeing where it leads. So Anita chart, I think, could definitely just like give you that right away.
What I loved about the natal chart reading too was that because it is kind of a blueprint, and you had mentioned this a little bit earlier too, you can look at it and say, okay, in this lifetime, my lesson is to learn this, and my goal is to achieve this. And it's nice to have like some sort of succinct direction to pair with a lot of
Hmm.
these other healing modalities that sort of open up parts of these conversations but maybe don't get too in depth about it, or
Yeah.
you only hear like one piece of it, and it's like, okay, all of a sudden each of those modalities and those insights becomes its own sort of puzzle piece, and they all fit within this blueprint, which helps you sort of make sense of everything together. And it's like, okay, there's some direction now, like I understand.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. It's almost like whipping out Google Maps and saying, all right, I'm heading to this point,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and knowing where that point is, not really knowing what roads you're going to take. And that's still, I think, where free will comes in, and how you choose to make up your life. But you ultimately know, okay, I'm heading northwest or
Yeah,
Yes,
whatever, you know what I mean?
exactly.
exactly.
It's like having a compass.
Yeah. So, Ellen, you were saying that you're starting to study with a mentor. What are you learning now? And like, what are some of the like kind of fun nitty gritty stuff about natal charts that you're learning through this mentor?
Yeah, no, great question. So for me, I've been self-taught. I listen to a lot of like podcasts and read books. And again, it came kind of naturally for me. So I feel like it's not my first astrology rodeo. So I was able to pick that up. But, and then, and I kind of sort of decided like a few years ago that like evolutionary astrology was sort of my thing, and that like in terms of the approach, the practice, and the symbolism, I was just really drawn to it. So I just kind of was like, I'm focused on this, because you can go,
Can
yes,
I can I interrupt you really
yeah,
quick? Okay, so we've been using this term evolutionary astrologist, and I'm just curious, what other types of astrology are
yes.
there? Just to kind of give a context. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's Hellenistic astrology, so that's like super old school using like ancient techniques. There's Vedic astrology, which is kind of like an Indian approach. There's obviously Chinese astrology. So there's different like um, schools or approaches that kind of sort of then takes a very traditional approach to how to interpret the chart, or what the symbolism means with the planets and houses, and like how they interact with each other. So yeah, so there's just different schools, different techniques, different approaches of how to like look at the chart. um so evolutionary astrology, again, it's like a little bit more of a modern take, and it includes spirituality, and I think it really does include psychology, because it's about like working through um, training and conditioning your mind, and sort of like seeing things differently. So that's sort of like the main categories of astrology. But yeah, I just was really just drawn to like the spiritual side, and the growth side of the evolutionary soul growth side of that of this approach. So That was what was drawn to me
Mm-hmm.
and speaking to me. Um, and so through that, there's probably like a handful of teachers that are kind of the people that really defined what evolutionary astrology is. And one of those sort of like pioneers and teachers is a man named Stephen Forrest, or evolutionary astrologer named Stephen Forrest. And I've taken some of his sort of webinars. He's been doing it for like 40 years. He's just this loving and kind, like, I don't know, for me, like, I love teachers that are like a little bit softer, and like there's some teachers that are very straightforward, very like direct, like no bullshit, just like get it done kind of teachers. I am more drawn to like the more loving and kind of softer and more like subtle teachers. And Stephen is that for me. So I've been taking, I can just tell to by energy, like when they speak and how their words and wisdom just sort of hits you and resonates with you. And I think that he's one of those teachers that everything that he says, it just like hits something in my soul that it just clicks for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. He
Yeah.
just has this energy, and so through him, I took like some webinar stuff, but then I learned like he's really into past life stuff. So I learned from him how to read past life in a chart, which I had not known how to do before. And from that, it just gave me this like depth, because I can tell you what your soul's lesson plan is, but I couldn't tell you why you have it, And so from that, I can then at least sort of give you the story of what it was in the past life that you're kind of picking up again. And I think that gives a little bit more of a grounding energy of like, oh, there's a beginning, or there's like a root to this. And that it's this like root that's like grown into this branch that's going into my life. Um, so from that, I learned past life stuff. But then recently, I just took a weekend workshop in Palm Springs with him, and it was about intimacy and love. And intimacy and love is kind of something that I get very nervous about interpreting, because people always want to know like when I'm going to meet my soulmate, and I'm like, I don't know. That's up to you. Like, have you done the self work to love yourself? Like, so for me, it's like I can't answer those questions. I get really nervous about like predicting love or like talking about love, but I took a class with Steven, and his class was called Love's Inner Alchemy. So it was actually not actually about synergy, which is like how two charts work together, but it's actually like what it is that you need in intimacy, how you need to bond, what it is that you need to sort of work through in yourself before you can show up in a partnership. And yeah, that was one of the things that I learned, and it was just kind of mind blowing. And he describes it, and I've kind of posted about it a little bit. It's like he describes it as being like, everyone has their crazy and sort of like the things from their childhood and past life, all this stuff. And the more work that we do on ourselves, the more we sort of put the crazy or like the garbage into the garbage can, right? So we know it's there, right? We've cleaned. I always say like I clean my side of the street, right? I put all my garbage and my crazy into this sort of like trash can or like garbage can.
I love that
Yeah,
metaphor.
like it's there. You've done the work. You're like conscious of it. It's there. You put it away. You're honoring it. It's there. But sometimes, like in partnerships or relationships, they trigger you, right? And so all of a sudden, you like the garbage can dumps over and like all the stuff spills out, right? And so then it's the process with your partner then to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. All of my trash came out. Let me.
Trash came out.
This trash is actually from this. Let me share with you why this is here and why you're seeing this. Let me show it to you, and let me put it back, like, or help me. We'll put it back together. So it's that process, and I just love his analogy for that. Like that's what I mean by like all the things that he says. It just resonates. It's like so clear for me. The analogy he uses and like the way that he describes and tells sort of like or makes that connection, I just really really resonates with me. But yeah, so like
it's so visual.
Yeah, it's so visual, and you're like, okay, I get it. It makes it's like reality. It makes sense. And so yeah, so love and intimacy, sort of understanding. He calls it the arc of intimacy. So there's like 5 stages of intimacy for you. So I learned that technique from him. So I feel more confident to offer like love and partnerships, but more about personal intimacy. Because I think it's once we know about what it is that we want, then we can then communicate it, or at least ask for what it is that we want, knowing what it is that we want now. And also being aware of what's in
Yeah.
your trash can. Cause like, yeah. So that way,
Wow.
when it comes out, you can say, okay, I know where this is coming from. And what you're seeing is, it's actually from my parents, or it's from this relationship that I had, or, whatever it is. So you can then have that communication. And I think communication is intimacy. It's sharing all these parts of yourself with your partner. But if you don't know what's in the garbage can, or if you haven't done the work to pick it up to acknowledge it, then it just becomes like two people with two like messy streets, whatever, right, like sides of the street, and you're trying to like navigate through all your garbage, right? So that's what I've learned from him. And I'm hoping to take an apprenticeship program with him in May. So he's like, to get a reading with him, he's booked out like 2 or 3 years, which is really crazy. And then his apprenticeship program, there's like a waiting list. So I'm very sort of like, I'm praying that it happens. The intimacy class was sold out, but then I was like praying to the universe, and then all of a sudden like it opened up and there was a space. There was like more room.
Wow.
So I'm kind of hoping that it'll happen again with the apprenticeship program, so I can like actually study under him and learn from him, and actually like approach it like basically get schooled, in his way, because I really love his style. Um,
Oh my
yeah, yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
I need another reading with you
I
now.
I know, I
know.
know, I know,
Find out what's in my trash
I
can.
know, I know. It's helped me to sort of acknowledge, and also too, it's like when you start dating people or like in a partnership, sometimes you get stuck at a certain stage too, and this arc of
Mhm.
intimacy. The idea is you have to kind of go through all the stages together, and then it gets to be this like more of like a true soul connection. And yeah, and some people, they either get stuck in one stage, and that's why maybe I think divorces happen, because you get stuck at one stage and you can't get to the next level of intimacy. And then you realize, oh, I
Yeah.
can't get there, or,
So
and that's why, yeah. Okay.
does the arc of intimacy, does it go over, is it one arc over the entire lifespan of a relationship, or is it like an arc that continually repeats?
So so the arc of intimacy, it includes 5 houses in the chart. So it's the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth house. So it's this progression. So when you look at the fourth house, which is home and family, so it's what you learned. The fifth house is like dating and courtship and love affair. The sixth house is, it's called a house of humility. It's basically like acknowledging like, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, but we choose to love each other. The seventh house is the house of long term partnerships and marriage. So the idea, it's the house of negotiation. It's knowing, okay, so we still like are deciding to be together, even though you don't take out the trash, and you annoy me in some way, but I still like, we're gonna stick it out together. Like, then let's like either live together or get married, if it's a traditional partnership. And but then it's the negotiation, right? It's the like, how do we work together? How do we put our differences aside? And then the eighth house is about sacred sex. It's about like bonding. It's about shadow work, kind of like really seeing each other, for who each other is, not in like the imperfection. It's like, yeah, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, let's do this. But now it's like, let's work on how can we help each other heal, and how can we help each other to acknowledge like the things that are holding us back, and how do we bond and create that like they call it sacred sex. It's not like sex for pleasure, but it's like actually when you're together and present for it. It's like in sustaining sex too. That's like the hardest part, right? In long-term relationship is like, how do you keep it sustaining? And so that's the arc of intimacy. And some people are like in the dating and they can't get into like the partnership stuff, or like they're into the partnership and they can't get into the intimacy, like sacred sex part or the bonding part. Or some people get into the partnership and they don't have the romance, right? Like,
Yeah.
or so that's sort of, so sometimes we miss certain steps and they can go out of order, but on some levels you kind of need like all of it, you know. And that's why it's like relationships are work. It's understanding, okay, what's my arc of intimacy, what do I need in terms of, you know, attraction and like sex, and like, you know, what is it that I need in negotiation, like how can I be less critical of you, you know, in certain ways, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, and sometimes, you know, you kind of, you're just attracted to each other, you like decide to stick it through even though they don't fulfill the other parts, you know. And then you realize later, like, and I think that's why relationships end sometimes. It's or most of the time is that you realize they fulfill one aspect, but they haven't really fulfilled your other arcs of intimacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's yeah, and
Yeah.
I've just recently learned this, so I'm excited to kind of offer it, because, you know, I think there was a quote that was like, if you want to learn, you should teach, because that's like the
Oh
best way to
yeah.
learn is to teach. Because when you're teaching, you have to study it, and then when you're teaching it, you're also learning and refining and, yeah, like getting better. So I definitely want to start like offering it this as like a service, and as like, yeah, as a astrology service, and that way I think in actually doing it and working with different arcs, I'll understand it more, because right now it's very high level and it's very like theoretical. But I love to sort of like dive deeper into like actually working with real charts.
I love that.
Man, sign me up.
Yeah,
I'll be your first
yeah,
customer,
let's do it.
your first
Yes, let's do
client.
it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, I'm ready for the practice for sure. Yeah.
So we've been talking a lot about like interpersonal relationships and, you know, your personal kind of blueprint, cosmic blueprint. And I'm curious, like, I'm sure you can see more of like almost like a societal or global almost theme that would come up through natal charts as
Yeah.
well. And maybe that's not really called natal charts. But I'm curious, like, are there certain themes for this year that you're seeing for 2020, or are there things that have been
Oh,
coming
good
up
question.
repeatedly in your like readings for other people? You know, like I'm curious, like
What's going on in the
what's going to happen this year?
Yeah,
collective
yeah.
consciousness?
Yeah.
And you guys were a part of like the previous year. I just did like a beginning intention setting thing with like for the new year. You guys were a part of that too. Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yeah,
1620.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few things going on, right, in terms of astrology, and we can approach it from like two different perspectives. So like there's obviously your natal chart, which is your cosmic DNA and your soul's lesson plan, and then there's that's just a snapshot. So like reality is like all these planets are moving, they're transiting, they're visiting different places, like different houses and different signs. And so, but then there's always sort of like major themes. So I just want to do like a quick recap of like 2019, and you tell me if like you're feeling this too. So for 2019, there was the energy of because it's Capricorn and Cancer. So we had like the nodes of the moon in Capricorn and Cancer. And so Capricorn and Cancer are basically, it's on an axis, which means it's on different ends of the spectrum. They're like 100%, 180 degrees opposites. So Capricorn is like the achiever, it's quote unquote like the dad energy. It's about like public life, achievement, recognition, self-mastery, like getting it done, making it count. And then Cancer is the mother, so it's private life, it's home, it's nurturing, it's like giving, it's feminine, it's the mother energy. So we have like Saturn versus the moon per se. So it's like the two planets that rule these two signs. So last year was all about like, you know, that masculine, feminine energy, public life versus private life. And we saw it played out with like with society, which is sort of the more masculine energy, and then like nature, which is the more feminine energy. And you can kind of tell both were like going crazy, you know? yeah, so like there was a lot of sort of tension, right, between like society and nature, and you can kind of see it play out.
Mhm.
And now you can also see like Trump, like in government, right, the masculine patriarchy, like versus like all the like the movements that were going on, right? So like the protecting, the
Mhm.
nurturing, the
Mhm.
preserving, like the feminine energy. So we saw like all of that. And then personally too, I felt like there was a desire, at least for myself, to like achieve and try to like, make sure that I am clear with my goals and what it is that I want to make it count, right? But then there was a part of me that was like also felt like I wanted to be inside and protect myself and to nurture myself and to really sort of be in touch with my emotions, right? Not to be so like, not be so much of like doing, but also like being and honoring myself too, like the sensitive parts. Did you guys feel that energy at all? That push pull between like
Absolutely.
masculine, feminine, public, private life?
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, so
totally.
that was what was happening in terms of not only the eclipses, because all the eclipses were in Capricorn and Cancer, but also the South Node. What we needed to release was like blind ambition, status, that need for like external like recognition, and what we were supposed to lean into was like vulnerability, generosity, and caring. So that was the tension that was going on. But then last year we also had Jupiter. We had Saturn, which is the planet of restriction and rewards. Um, Holding, so there's three planets that were in conjunction: Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter. And kind of conjunction means like three planets are within 10 degrees of each other, so they're like they're standing next to each other. And a conjunction means they're holding hands. So these three power planets were holding hands, saying we're going to work together. So the planet of restriction and rewards, the coach, right, holding hands with Pluto, which is about radical truth and transformation and shadow work. Holding hands with Jupiter, which is like luck and abundance. So the theme last year was also like, if you do the work, if you're radically truthful with yourself, and if you did the work to like address your shadow, then Jupiter will reward you. Jupiter will bring you
Mm.
abundance. So the combination of those three, and I definitely felt it. It was like me being like, okay, how can I be disciplined with myself? But then I had to check myself and check my ambition and check the reasons why I want to do things. And because it was easy just to be like, oh, I want to, create these things or whatever. But it was like, why do you want to do that? So I had to ask myself that. And once I created discipline and acknowledge and work through the shadow side of stuff, then I felt like there was a lot of more abundance and opportunity, and that things actually like flowed more easily to me. Did you guys feel the Jupiter Pluto Saturn conjunction, the discipline
Yeah,
shadow, and then
yeah.
the reward or the abundance?
Oh, totally. But I think I felt it more it's like, it was a lot of shadow work for
Yeah,
me last
yeah,
year, like, and I think the abundance, I don't know if this is how it works, but like, I feel like this is the year that, I feel it kind of coming in
Yeah,
because of all the work I
that's how I feel
did.
too. I was like, I don't know if abundance hit me in 2019, but
yeah.
but
Well,
I can feel its energy.
the good thing is that like the Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter conjunction is happening until June.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
then
So
that makes
so
a
wow.
lot
so
of
we're
sense.
Okay.
yeah, so we're like it started in June of 2019. So you still have we're halfway through. So
Mm,
now like knowing that if I'm disciplined and if whatever it is that I want, like I make the time for it and I put the energy into it and I stay focused and I sort of like on some levels really commit to myself, and if I then sort of acknowledge all the shadow stuff that comes up from it, then you will start to see the flow of things coming in more easily
Hmm.
towards the end of the year once that's coming in. So we still have 6 more months of this conjunction. So yeah, but
right.
that's sort of the main themes. And then in June, we're going to switch between Cancer and Capricorn, these two sort of like polarities. And so, one thing I also want to say about um, astrology, especially like evolutionary astrology, is the idea of that's why it's on a wheel and there's always like sort of polarities, right? Like dualities and polarities. It's because the main sort of goal with the wheel or the natal chart is also integration. How do I integrate different parts of myself, right? How do I integrate opposites, right? So that they work together and they harmonize. So not only am I, it's not about negating one, but it's about encompassing both.
Yeah,
um, finding the balance and integrating, right? So June we're going to have a new set on the axis. So we're going to have Gemini and Sagittarius in June. So the eclipses this year will be starting in June will be Gemini and Sag. The nodal axis, which is like what we need to release and what we need to embody, is going to be Gemini and Sag. So we're shifting into a new sort of like polarity or like duality that we're working with. Gemini is, so it's how do I describe? Okay, so Gemini is the journalist, and Sag is the author. So Gemini is like really quick, like getting information, like stimulation, super fast, like what's the news of the day, like and then Sag is the truth seeker. So it's about like sitting around and writing the autobiography based on like the experiences that I have. This is my truth. This is what I've been through. So they both have to do with wisdom. But one is from the perspective of the student and one is from the perspective of the teacher. And so starting the end of so June onward till like next June, the idea is we're actually supposed to release what we think we know from Sag. Because I think when you're the teacher, when you're like, I'm the author, I'm the authority, you sort of get dogmatic and you get stuck, right, in your own sort of, you're drinking your own Kool-Aid in a weird way. But
yeah,
it's
totally.
actually saying Gemini, we're supposed to lean into the Gemini energy for 2020 and then 2021. It's basically like, what do I still need to learn? And what do you think about this as well? So open-mindedness, conversation, learning through sort of sharing and like openness and like sort of curiosity, and not sort of being fixed on a truth, because there's many truths and there's many things that we're supposed to learn, and if we're open to it, we actually learn, like, you know that truth has many layers. So that's sort of the energy too, is sort of like, I think that we've been working so hard on ourselves and our sort of our dream and our vision, what we want, but now it's sort of like the thing about truth seeking is, what do I still need to learn? Who can I learn from? Who can I have discussions with and understand, like, maybe who can give me a different perspective on things. So that will be the energy for 2020 this year, and then going into 2021 as well. And then Uranus was a big one for last year, and it's going to be for the next 7 years. But Uranus is the planet of, like they call it, lightning bolts and earthquakes. The idea is like Uranus will flip your world totally, completely upside down, so that you can be your most authentic self. So Uranus shift into Taurus last year, which was like the big, like, astrological news. And so it'll stay there for, I think, 7 or 8 years. And the idea is that, like, for me, it was in my house of partnership. So it totally flipped my perspective on what I think a partnership should be in love. So wherever it is in your house, whatever you think is the norm, it's going to challenge the way that you think about it completely. So that's the fun and exciting part. Like, some people think like, oh, I need to make money a certain way, but with Uranus in there, it's going to be like, nope, you're getting fired from your job because you're supposed to be like doing something else, or something will happen where will be really fast, where you're like forced to sort of then figure out another way, or an opportunity will open up where you're like, oh, I can also do this and make money, or I can also, this person came in, it is like, oh, maybe there isn't one way of looking at like a partnership or who I thought I was. So Uranus is like the big one for last year, which is sort of flipping our world. And so whatever house it is whatever topic it flipped for you. So
Wow.
that was a big,
So we should look at our chart and
yeah,
see where
yeah,
Uranus
yeah.
is. Ah,
Yeah, and
okay.
that's looking at your actually Sam, I can actually look at your chart now.
Ooh,
Um
let's find out.
so yeah, you're also in the house of partnerships and love. So who you think you're supposed to be with and sort of what is maybe you thought, am I supposed to have a traditional marriage and like partnership or even like, obviously working partnership too, so it doesn't have to be strictly love. Like that partnerships are going to be like, oh, this is a different way of working with it, or maybe what I thought and expected of how someone shows up for me is totally different, or how I show up for somebody else. It's flipping for you. It's not your traditional either working or love or partnership
Yeah,
relationship.
it's so interesting. Because I just, as you guys know, just moved to the desert,
Yeah.
and I'm this year going to spend a lot more time with my parents than I have in a very long time.
Ah,
And
okay.
like their last trip out here, I was like, oh my gosh, there were so many times throughout the week that I was like, when did I become the parent here? This is like not a role that I was looking for. And so
Oh.
I totally relate to that.
Oh my God. Yeah, that totally
Wow.
makes sense, right? Relationships, like partnerships, relationships, like that, it totally is going to flip for you. And then, Ellen, yours is in the house of friends, groups, and long term aspirations. So the idea is that, like, so groups, the 11th house, people think it's like friends, but it's actually sea of faces or how you're being seen in groups or how you're being seen with
Oh,
people. So what you thought of like how others see you or how you should be seen in groups um, or associations, um, it's going to totally flip for you,
oh,
and it
that's
should be
rad.
flipped because it's not going to be traditionally what you think it is. You're going to play a very different role in that in groups, and also like your long term aspirations, what it is that you want to do, that's also going to flip because you maybe you thought this is the path, um, or like this is the path I should be on or should be doing. Expect it to not be that at all, and be open to allowing sort of the universe to show you what's the most authentic path for you
Whoa,
in
Oh,
regards to
wow.
how you're being seen in groups or how you work with groups.
Oh, wow.
that's
Okay.
so
I'm
crazy.
excited. I know. I mean, my gut is saying I'm wondering if it has anything to do with my breathwork practice,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Exactly.
wow.
Exactly. And it started, last year. So that's when you got certified and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wow.
Oh my
Yeah. Yeah.
gosh.
How
Well,
what you
that's a
thought,
good
yeah.
news, Ellen. Yay.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't
No,
know if
it's
it's gonna
gonna
be
be
good
great
news
because
for you.
yeah, it's gonna be great because Uranus wants you to get you to be your most authentic self. It wants you to
Yeah.
get you to be your most authentic self. It will like because sometimes we get either stagnant or complacent or stuck, and so Saturn, like Uranus, will like literally shake it and be like, "Nope, you're not doing that anymore." And because you didn't do it and you didn't cut it, I'm gonna do it for you. So, or like that's why you have to embrace the unfolding and you have to embrace sort of like you have to ask, okay, what is next? What would you like me to learn next, or what should I be open to? And the more that you approach it that way, the more things will come into you, and that way it becomes more authentic to you, right? Versus like thinking I
Yeah.
have to be a certain way or I have to like show up a certain
Yeah.
way. um
Totally.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. This stuff is so freaking fascinating. I feel like we could talk 10
I
hours about
I
know.
this.
know. I haven't even gone through. So like for me, what I love too when I look at the year, I just actually did like a 2020 sort of like overview. I look at retrogrades. So I'm the girl that's like, what's the juicy stuff? What's the inner work? And like we have every year we have like a handful of retrogrades. And retrogrades last between like the big planets last between like anywhere between 3 to 5 months. So it's a long time, but it's doing that. I mean, it's a slower build in terms of like Mercury. It just feels like things happen right away. It's very fast because it's moving very fast. But these slower retrogrades are actually they give us a little bit of breathing room, but they don't make it super easy. But they give us a little bit of breathing room to kind of like tweak and go and sort of like lean into. But yeah, I always look at like, okay, what are the retrogrades for the year, and then kind of get myself mentally ready to kind of dive into whatever the topic is during that retrograde. And so we have quite a few retrogrades. We have Pluto retrograde, Saturn retrograde, Venus retrograde. What else do we have?
Oh, damn.
Neptune retrograde, Chiron retrograde, and then we have the eclipses. So, the fun never stops. And it's always, you know what I mean? It's just like,
I'm like bracing myself right now in my chair.
But it's like these retrogrades are like, they're basically periods of transformation. So there are opportunities for us to do the work and to really be empowered and to like gain or to level up basically. So I always I know that's why I'm always like, I never want to overwhelm people, but then if you don't know, you're going into it, you're like, why do I feel so crazy? Or why is this coming up? Or like, why am I emotional? Or why am I thinking about childhood? Or whatever it is, like, if you don't have the awareness or the consciousness of it, then like, you can't do anything about it.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
It's almost like making the most of these opportunities really by having kind of like just an overview of like, okay, this is going to be coming up and this may be happening in your world. Like that is so important, I feel like.
Yeah.
But those are opportunities to learn,
Yeah,
really.
to learn and to grow and and then to like become stronger, to become stronger, to become stronger. And then, I think a lot of it too is like, the empowerment part is a big piece because like you never want to feel like things are happening to you.
Yeah.
You want to feel like you are,
like, I mean, obviously some agency.
Yeah.
Right.
And obviously we can't control everything, we can't control all things. We definitely can't control other people, but we can control and sort of like master ourselves and be conscious and deliberate about like our actions and our intention. And so like at least like that, I think if you can and are able to, I would just like recommend that you should, yeah.
Gosh. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about Sacra before we like close out because I feel like that is I'm really looking forward to this beautiful, beautiful app that you've been working on.
Yeah, so Sacra is, remember I was telling you about the unfolding part where it's like you just have to kind of honor the things that come up. And so I have a pretty deep meditation practice and I meditate like an hour a day. For me, I got the download in July. Basically I've always I've been very I've been good in terms of like the things that they sort of encouraged me to do. I'm always like, yes, okay, they're like, it's time to teach classes, it's time to do whatever, and I'm like, okay, and I just kind of honor and I just push through it and I just get over myself and I do it. And this time they were like, okay, it's time to do the app, and I was just like, what? I was like, first off, like, with whose money are we going to do the app? It's like, how are we going to create this? And like, who's going to help me? Like I've been so independent with, doing everything by myself, in terms of UnitedOther, and the idea of like, how can I call in like a developer? Like, where do I even begin? So that was very daunting for me. But I pushed through and I, did the work of like setting intentions and stuff. And so, yeah, I'm so really, really grateful. I found two people to help me. And the main thing about Sacra, well, I just want to first talk and share about technology. So I've been kind of, sitting with this idea about the app and why it is that I want to create the app and what will the app do besides, the features and the features that are being offered. And for me, what I've come to understand and what I've received, it's that it's the intention to take technology in a different level and to a different place, but not only to use technology, and we use technology for to evolve like our modern society, but now it's an opportunity, and we've done that. So now it's an opportunity to use technology as a spiritual tool for like soul evolution. So, and I think that like meditation has been kind of sort of been sort of the forerunner, and I think there's a lot of like meditation apps and now like astrology apps. But for me, there's nothing that has to do with rituals. So guided rituals for empowerment, and I think it really came out from the workshops that I was doing, and then these ritual kits that I've developed, and you know, I was kind of guiding people through sort of these ritual kits, and then also through the live workshops that I was doing. So I wanted to create something in which it wasn't, you know, location or site specific. That hopefully through the app and the technology that anyone can be empowered to be guided in doing, you know, rituals. And so I'm so excited because it's basically like a culmination of everything that I've been doing for the past few years. So it's going to have astrology. So you'll have like a monthly overview on the astrology. I'll guide you through like new moon, full moon rituals. I also use a lot of divination in my meditation practice, where I'll pull a card every day, and that's my way of also getting messages from the spirit team. So there's going to be an oracle divination card aspect. And then there's, you know, these soul rituals that are based on the ritual kits and the astrology will be included in that. And then, you know, I want to feature like the community as well. So like healers, different modalities, to be able, so it's like, it's not a calculator app. It's definitely like there's a lot going on in the app, but I just want it to be like the world of Sacra, and just like anything that's sacred will hopefully have a place in the app. And so, you know, there's a discover and educational aspect of spirituality and esoteric teachings that I hope to offer articles on. And then, you know, and there's a curated shop too. So I'll feature a lot of UnitedOther stuff that are themed for the rituals of the month. But also hopefully like, you know, feature like products from you guys and like people from the community too, and just kind of, you know, be a place where it's like a very curated spiritual shop of like trusted healers and practitioners and people that I love. Hopefully will be presented there too in terms of product selection. So that's it. No big deal. Just, you know, this this really like sacred world all in an app that I don't know how I'm gonna, like, it's happening. So now it's like I just have to like write the content and the messages, and you know, really put discipline in, you know, filling it with meaningful content and things that hopefully will resonate and be of service and be useful in that way.
I'm
So
so
yeah.
excited to try it out.
Rad.
I can't
know.
wait.
Me too. I know. We're obviously huge fans of daily rituals. And in fact, I was just having a conversation yesterday with a integrative healer up in Seattle. And we're talking specifically about just, you know, how important it is to have daily rituals. You know, it's really the thing that as you're doing your inner work, and I mean, it's part of it. It's all part of the self-healing process. So I love that you're coming out with a tool that is going to be so helpful for everybody to, you know, just make that whole process actually easier and more accessible.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. And, I'm really excited to show you guys. We're in prototype right now, so it's just like figuring out we have the designs and just now kind of figuring out like, does it make sense? And so I'll definitely be sending you guys a link to that because I definitely value your opinion. And yeah, just to kind of, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm really excited, and you know, it means so much that you guys are sharing your support, and it, you know, I'm really hoping that it's, I have no idea how it's going to turn out. You know, I'm just trusting that the time, the money, sort of the intention, the energy is hopefully going to mean something, you know. And so that a part of it is, a lot of it is just like that trusting process of being like, okay, I'm just going to trust that I've been guided and I have to honor it, and we will see how it all unfolds. And that's how the universe works. You know, you got to just honor the unfolding.
That's incredible. Oh my God, I cannot wait. How do people reach you? How do people actually get a hold of you?
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm like a one woman band, so I like, if you email me, I'm the person to like reply to you. I'm pretty flexible. People are like, don't DM me. I'm like, DM me. I'm here. I'm like not. So, you know, on Instagram at UnitedOther, in Sacra Rituals is the app. But if you go to United Other, you'll see Sacred Rituals linked in the link in bio. But yeah, DM me on my website, UnitedOther.com. You can email me there. Yeah, I'm pretty much accessible and around. And I'm here to be of service. So yeah, just reach out, and then hopefully we can figure out, give you details on what the reading entails and pricing and all that good stuff, and then scheduling. Yeah, and then we just either do, if you're kind of in LA and don't mind coming to sort of my hood or my neighborhood, we can do that in person, or I do like a Zoom or just phone call session as well. And then I do like pop-up events as well. There's actually a Spirit House Collective February 29th that's coming up, and I'm not sure when this will be broadcast, but I'll be there selling product, and there's a lot of practitioners there as well. And yeah, so all over, and mostly kind of like either phone or Zoom is sort of where I do the sessions. In terms of people wanting and are curious of how to like get their charts, can I share? Yeah, okay. So astro.com, and then astro.cafeastrology.com. So those are kind of like the two big sites that you could use to get your natal chart. But the big thing is getting the exact time of your birth. This one's kind of like the point of contention, because mom will say, oh, it's around 11, and you're like, no, you really kind of, I mean, if you can get a birth certificate, because then remember, like, if you're, things can shift within like 15 or 30 minutes in the chart. Like things could be in a different house, or a planet could be in a different house. So I would say like try to be as accurate as possible, because then you're going to get like your unique cosmic DNA. Yeah, so that's who I would really like refer to. And then if you really want to get like academic, and this is the podcast that I actually listen to, that's kind of heady but academic, because Chris Brennan is the host, and he interviews like all kinds of astrologers and different techniques. And the astrology podcast is an amazing one if you really want to get academic and commit to it. That is like the one where you'll go so deep and so technical, and that's where I got kind of schooled in terms of like the technical stuff.
I'm gonna start listening.
yeah, it's super interesting.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ellen. This was oh my gosh, I just love talking to you all the things. So if you guys liked this episode with Ellen and you want to check her out and potentially work with her and learn more about evolutionary astrology, you can find her on UnitedOther.com, and you can email her at hello@unitedother.com or on Instagram @UnitedOther.
And if you are in need of any soul care products, aromatherapy, candles, sprays, all sorts of fun stuff, check our store out at daughtersbrand.com. We have a bunch of just amazing products that we make ourselves, or that we've collaborated and partnered with other women makers on. So come check us out. Thanks for listening. Music for Woo New is composed by Adam Miller.
Just like anything that's sacred will hopefully have a place in the app. And so, there's a discover and educational aspect of spirituality and esoteric teachings that I hope to offer articles on. And then, and there's a curated shop too. So it'll feature a lot of United Other stuff that are themed for the rituals of the month. But also hopefully like, feature like products from you guys and like people from the community too, and just kind of, be a place where it's like a very curated spiritual shop of like trusted healers and practitioners and people that I
I'm
love.
so excited to try it
Hopefully will
out.
be
I
I
can't
presented
know,
there
wait.
me
too in terms
too.
of product selection.
I know. We're obviously
So that's it.
huge,
No
huge
big
fans of
deal.
daily
That's
rituals. And in fact, I was just
this
having a conversation yesterday
this
with
this
a
really
integrative
like sacred
healer up in
world
Seattle.
all in an
And we're
app
talking
that
specifically
I don't
about
know how
just,
I'm gonna
how important
like
it is to
it's
have
happening. So now
daily
it's like
rituals. It's really the
I just have
thing
to like
that
write the
as you're doing your inner
content
work, and I mean, it's
and
part of it. It's
messages
all
and
part of the self-healing
really put
process.
discipline in
So I love that you're coming out with
filling
a
it
tool that is
with
going to
meaningful
be so
content
helpful for
and things that
everybody
hopefully
to,
will resonate
just make that whole
and
process
be of
actually
service and be
easier and
useful
more
in that way.
Yeah.
accessible.
So yeah.
I was gonna say, if you need beta testers, we are in that.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. And, I'm really excited to show you guys. We're in prototype right now, so it's just like figuring out we have the designs and just now kind of figuring out like does it make sense. And so I'll definitely be sending you guys a link to that because I definitely value your opinion. And yeah, just to kind of yeah. Yeah, no, I'm really excited, and it means so much that you guys are
I
sharing your
will.
Wow.
support, and it
That's
I'm really
incredible. Oh my
hoping
God, I
that
cannot wait.
I have no
Um,
idea. I have no idea how
I
it's going to turn
would
out.
love to
I'm
see,
just
actually, well,
trusting that
how do
the
people
time, the
reach you? How do
money, sort
people
of
actually get a
the
hold of you?
intention, the
Do you
energy
do
is
readings
hopefully
online,
going
or or
to
not online, but
mean
like, do you
something,
do them
and so that
remotely,
a
or,
part of it is a lot of it is just
can
like a
anybody work with
trusting
you?
process of being like, okay, I'm just going to trust that I've been guided and I have to honor it, and we will see how it all unfolds. Um, and that's how the universe works. You got to just honor the unfolding. Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm like a one woman band, so I like if you email me, I'm the person to like reply to you. I'm pretty flexible. People are like, I don't DM me. I'm like, DM me. I'm here. I'm like not so on Instagram at UnitedOther, and in Sacra Rituals is the app. But if you go to UnitedOther, you'll see Sacred Rituals linked in the like link in bio. But yeah, DM me on my website UnitedOther.com. You can email me there. Yeah, I'm pretty much accessible and around, and I'm here to be of service. So yeah, just reach out, and then hopefully we can figure out, give you details on what the reading entails and pricing and all that good stuff, and then scheduling. Yeah, and then we just either do, if you're kind of in LA and don't mind coming to sort of my hood or my
Awesome. Thank you
neighborhood,
so much,
we can
Ellen.
do
This was
that in
a
person,
oh my
or
gosh, I
Yeah.
just
I
love
do like a
talking to you
Zoom,
all the
just
things. I'm so
phone call
I know.
session as well. And then I do like pop-up events as well. There's actually a Spirit House Collective, February 29th that's
Yeah.
coming up, and I'm not sure when this will be broadcast, but I'll be there selling product, and there's a lot of practitioners there as well. And yeah, so all over, and mostly kind of like either phone or Zoom is sort of where I do the sessions. Yeah. Aw. Oh, okay. Okay. Last thing I want to share is in terms of people wanting and are curious of how to like get their charts. Can I share? Yeah. Okay. So astro.com, and then astro.cafeastrology.com. So those are kind of like the two big sites that you could use to get your natal chart. But the big thing is getting the exact time of your birth. This one's kind of like the point of contention because, mom will say, "Oh, it's around 11," and you're like, "No, you really kind of. I mean, if you can get a birth certificate, because then remember, like, if you're things can shift within like 15 or 30 minutes in the chart. Like things could be in a different house or a planet could be in a different house. So I would say like try to be as
Oh, I
accurate
think
as
Sam
possible
somehow
because
fell
then you're going to
off.
get like your
But go ahead.
unique
Go ahead.
cosmic DNA. Yeah, so that's who I would really like refer to. And then if you really want to get like academic, and this is the podcast that I actually listen to that's kind of heady but academic because Chris Brennan is the host, and he interviews like all
Oh,
kinds of
wow.
astrologers and
That's
different techniques.
incredible.
And
Oh my gosh.
so
I'm
for the
going to start
last like
listening.
3 years, because I've
Thank you. Thank you
been kind
so
of at
much. Oh
home
my gosh,
now
this has
and don't have
been
to
an
go in
incredible
office. So
conversation. And
oh,
like I
is
said
that a
before, I
sound?
feel like I could go for hours with you. Um,
Okay.
Thank you just
Okay.
for your time and
Yeah,
your
so like
energy
the
and your
astrology
wisdom. This has
podcast
been
is an
incredible.
amazing one if you really want to get academic and commit to it. That is like the one where you'll go so deep and so technical, and that's where I got kind of schooled in terms of like the technical stuff.
Oh my God, that would be
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, let's do that for sure. I would love to, especially
Yeah,
the
yeah. It's super
interpersonal
interesting.
relationships. I just feel like we're on this earth to connect and to learn from each other. And that's just the area where I feel like, like I'm going through couples therapy right
Yeah.
now. And it's just been really actually quite awesome to learn
Yeah,
how to
and I'm happy to
communicate
like come
and,
back
and
and
dig
like, if
through
we wanted to
our
talk
trash
about the
together,
arc of
so to
intimacy or
speak,
like whatever, and just do kind of more of
and
a
this
focused
just adds another tool to the
topic
mix, which
too.
is
Happy to do that,
freaking
or like past
amazing,
life and
So I
whatever it
definitely want
is,
to
like
talk
whatever you
all
guys
about
need. I love
that.
to support you in whatever way I can.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay,
Thanks,
cool.
Ellen. You too. I will. I will. Okay. Bye. You too. Bye.
Yeah, right? Okay, cool. We'll have to book a little session together for sure. Okay, cool. Okay, thanks, Ellen. Have a good day. And then tell Sam bye too. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Have a good one. Bye.